Om. Om Sehana Vavatu Sehano Bhunaktu Sahaviriyam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. All right, so what is the subject? What are we talking about today? Should we continue what we spoken last time? I would prefer to talk about the subject what we have spoken last time. And there were some questions. So I guess there was some message from Kapilji and Aditi. Okay.
Yes, Acharya.
I'm just trying to catch up with what message I saw. Now my predicament is that my one is yes or no, so I should keep asking questions. Like, so I'm just referring to what Kapilji had mentioned. Now my predicament is that the more I learn, the less I know. So should I keep asking questions like an inquisitive child, or should I seek wisdom? I think these are two ends of four, which side to hold. Aditi replies, I feel that more than poles, there are stages of the process, and which stage is first of whom may vary. Okay. After Gita for 6 chapters, there is duality, however, we spoke about 4 stages of consciousness in depth. Okay. So I think we should talk on this, what we are asking you about the stages of consciousness. It's not stages, I would rather call it states, different states of consciousness. Is that an awakening or deep sleep? Yeah. Do you like to phrase it again, or is this question stays open?
No, Acharya, I stand corrected. It's states.
Yeah. No, I mean, do you prefer to speak on this same question, or is there anything else?
I'd like further clarity on this.
All right, good. That's nice. Yeah. So first we must ask ourselves, what is death? And apparently, at this stage, all of us should realize that death is not for the consciousness. It's not for our soul or the spirit. It is that the soul or that energy realize that this body is not useful anymore to evolve spiritually. Now you may ask, what does that really mean? Remember, fundamentally, when we talk about soul, we are talking about Jeev Atma. And Jeev Atma is the combination of pure consciousness super influenced by mind or ego or samskara. So Jivatma is one word which covers combination of Atma or soul, and it is superimposed by faculty of mind, which has the memory and ego, which is also known as samskara. And that Jivatma is throughout our lifetime is the purpose of life is to evolve our mind or our samskara, to drop the ignorance and evolve to know what we are. And when the pure consciousness realizes that this body is not in position to evolve further, when I say body, it's a combination of BMI, body, mind, intellect. Then at certain stage, we are not in a position to think clearly, or the clarity does not come to us. And at that point of time, the soul choose to drop or to leave the body. Yeah. And leaving the body, the only reason is that it feels that it does not have opportunity to evolve. And I'm here when I say it's not pure consciousness, it's that the tinted, super influenced soul. Yeah, the pure consciousness is always, as it is non-pure, it is always the consciousness. There's nothing, there are no additives or to it. It's just the consciousness. It's just the energy. But energy, when it acquires mind, which is samskara, then it becomes Jivatma. And the only purpose of Jivatma is to realize that mind or samskara is temporary and the original nature is love, peace, and bliss, pure consciousness. So the death is to that body, mind, intellect. And Jivatma continues because of karmic reasons. Jivatma remains in the seed form. Yeah, it does not dissolve, it does not merge, it does not get linked to the pure consciousness. It remains as Jivatma in the form of a seed, so to understand. And at appropriate time, there is a whole theory of when this Jivatma takes the next body. How long does it take? That itself is another major subject, but it at appropriate time acquires another body. So in other words, it is the Jivatma which is in the form of a seed, which is also known as a Karana Sharira, at appropriate time chooses the location, the womb of a mother, and takes birth. So death in this case is only for the BMI, body, mind, intellect, in that particular form and shape. And it's neither awakening nor that it is deep sleep. Because deep sleep and awakening happens only to your body, mind, intellect. Jivatma continues. Consciousness is just leaving the body to acquire another one. Sleep and deep sleep and the awakening and tripping is all connected to body, mind. So what is Jivatma is a fundamental teaching in what is known as a Tattva Bodha. And this is, I had initially mentioned about the 5 elements, and the 5 elements in subtle level and 5 elements in the gross level. One among that is combination, Panchikarna, combination of these 5 elements, which brings about the Karana Sharir. Karana Sharir is the Mahat, as it is known in the philosophical language, that brings about cosmic existence. And from that cosmic existence, with the process of the grossification of the elements, comes about the gross elements that we know, we can perceive. Yeah. Before Panchikarna, that's the process by itself, which is a very complex understanding. It's not easy to explain. Before that grossification, this element remains in extremely subtle form. So that's how the beginning of this existence. If you remember the 5 elements, one of them is space, or we call Akasha. It is only in Sanatana Dharma or in our culture, there is a mention of this 5th element called space. No other philosophy, no other religion, no other school of thoughts in the world include space as the element. They do identify other 4 elements, but the space or Akash Tattva is the special element devised by our sages. There was an insight that everything that we can perceive exists in that space. And so space per se is vital or significant. If there is no space they're also known as a vacuum or Akash Tattva, you cannot have water, you cannot have fire, you cannot have earth, you cannot have any other element. And space contains all these other 4 elements and yet remains unattached. And therefore, there is a greater importance given to the element of space or Akasha. In fact, in some of the literature, it is also considered equivalent to the supreme consciousness. So the 5 elements, grossification, from there, the birth of Karana Sharir, or the seed form. And from the seed, what is known as the ego is born. And because of ego, now here it's not ego of yours and mine, we're talking about cosmic level, the macro level. The macro level, there is an ego, and that ego wants to see the other duality. And so it splits. And it splits into many. And that is how the ego comes into other beings. It's just the ego wants to see itself. If it is just one, it cannot see himself or herself or itself. The cosmic ego is then reflected in many beings. And this is the philosophy explained in Tattva Bodha. So the death to talk about is only a small part of the journey, because this journey of consciousness never began, does not end. So the acquisition of particular body is what we know as the lifetime, of lifespan. We probably had many thousands of millions of bodies earlier, and we may continue to have different bodies without our knowledge how many, we do not know. Therefore, the Jeev Atma is only changing the body. It's like changing of your dress. You buy a new dress, you have used it for a while, and when you think this dress is out of fashion or old enough or damaged or worn out, you choose to drop it and pick up a new dress. It's simple as that the Jivatma drops a particular body and acquires the new body. So when we talk about consciousness, the state of consciousness, death is neither deep sleep nor awakening. I know it probably does not clarify much, but it's just the limitation of words that I cannot express more clearly than this. Second thing about, I remember the last time you mentioned questions, how many questions, should I continue asking question or not? And I think at this level, we are all in this word called transactional world, or known as Vyavarik Jagat. We all need to raise questions. Raising question or inquisitivity or queries is very natural. And let that happen. But while that happens, one should be in a position to contemplate as to what is it that is thinking, who is inquiring, who wants to know all that you want to know. Is this name and shape and form that we acquire, is that we want it? Yes, at the point of our Vyavarik Jagat or transactional world, it is our BMI. We identify ourselves as what we appear to be. And so the mind has its play, and mind is inquisitive to find the answers. And so it also rises, it triggers the ego, because and spirituality is one area where ego is at play most of the time. Most of us, or many of us, express inquisitive questions and raising doubts, probably to feel that you are progressing spiritually, to prove yourself, if not to others, that you are pursuing spirituality, you are inquisitive, you want to know more and more about it. But if you ask question, who ultimately is asking this question, who wants to know it? And then stay with that question. Because as you study, as you read, as you think about this subject, contemplate, you realize that I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not this intellect, I am not what appear to be, I am not what people know me about. So then, who is asking this question? So from starting point is raising question to gain the knowledge. In transactional world, in this Vyavarik Jagat, this is required. But it should not end here. That should continue to the point where you do not have questions. And that will happen. That happens, that you may not have any more questions. The questions dissolves. And that happens when you are engaged into self-inquiry. Self-inquiry is extremely important. And when you are in that self-inquiry, time comes when you do not have questions. Whether you call it a wisdom, experiences, awakening, whatever. It does not matter how you call it. The question point comes when you believe that the isness of is greater than what you think about. The essence of existence is more significant than anything else. And that happens when you are observing silence. Silence is the opening many portals. It gives you a situation or a condition where you come to realize that asking questions or raising doubts or gaining more knowledge is only a game. It's only a play of a mind, of an ego. As long as you remain in the mode of acceptance of existence as it is, and harmony with the existence, synchronize your transactional world activity in as much as possible in synchronicity with the nature. So if that's suffice the previous subject, then there is something else that I've thought of talking today. Can I proceed, or is there anything that you need to clarify more? Yeah.
Yes, Acharya, thank you very much.
There are two words used in our literature, two words known as Viveka and Vairagya. I'm sure you have heard of these two words. And this is part of the seeker, the spiritual seeker, the seeker at this level we are. We want to know the truth. We want to explore the reality. But again, when we say we are seeking something, we are trying to explore the reality or truth, let that not be just the play of our mind or ego. We have to check ourselves. Is this a play of mind or ego, or am I genuinely seeking the truth, the ultimate truth of reality? So in order to be qualified as the genuine seeker, one has to have certain qualities. And the qualities two of them are Viveka and Vairagya. So Vivek is the simple wisdom of discrimination. Simple wisdom of discrimination, which is intelligence. So there are differences between intelligence and intellect. So we are all born with certain basic intelligence. And through that, if we are able to discriminate what is love, what is kindness, what is spreading happiness, joy, and otherwise, that discrimination is Viveka. Now, unfortunately, we end up discriminating what is right and what is not right, what is true, what is not true. That discrimination is play of mind. But discrimination of, am I conducting my life in harmony with nature? Am I being helpful? Am I being honest? Simple day-to-day life qualities. If we are in awareness and checking on our thinking, our speaking, our acting, is it in harmony with nature? Number one. Number two, is it helping me in evolving as a better person, as a better human being? Is it helpful to my people near and around me? Is it helpful to people at large? Am I causing inconvenience? These are the small things that if we are able to check, the power of discrimination is at play, which means you are making your own self-assessment. In that quality, that power of self-assessment, and refrain from what is not positive, what is not helpful, what is not wise, what is not kind, is the discrimination, is the Viveka. So here is something that we need to check ourselves. Every day from morning that we wake up till the day gets over, how many times we have checked that our thinking, our speaking, our acting, whatever body activity is in line with the goodness, based on love, peace, and joy. And unfortunately, most of us, at this point of time, this so-called modern age, that we end up into red race. We just follow certain lifestyle without checking on it, without realizing that is it what is in harmony with nature, what is based on love, peace, and joy. So that Viveka is the first quality for a true seeker. You may gain certain informations or knowledge that we call a spiritual knowledge. But what is the point if you are not practicing that into your life? Yeah? It only remains the play of ego or mind. And this is the first quality known as Vivek that you have to develop. Second is Vairagya. Now, Vairagya, commonly known as giving up or sacrifice or stay away from society. No, Vairagya is not really that. Vairagya is to develop the power and ability of contentment. That whatever that you are into position, in whatever position you are in given point of time, you accept it with all your joy, without complaint, without grudges, without any restrictions. Accept the conditions, situations, experiences, relations, whatever is prevailing. That's point one of Vairagya. Point two of Vairagya is to perform your duties, your job, your work, your engagements as best as you can, but do not expect rewards. Do not expect any clapping or any prizes or any praise from anybody. In other words, do not expect any result or rewards. Perform all that you have to do as if you are doing a devotional service to your deity, to your Lord, to your Guru. Just perform. Just perform whatever that you are doing. That ability of performing and living lifestyle without expectation of rewards and outcomes or fruits is Vairagya. And this is so important for true self-seekers. Unless it is developed, the seeking of truth, seeking of reality is only a game of your ego, your mind. And that is how one has many things to consider by reading certain literature or by attending certain talks or engaging yourself into different services. It is beneficial to some extent, but without these two qualities of Vairagya and Viveka, you do not get to the point of what is spiritual wisdom. So, this is where I end, and I ask a question to all of you. Please tell me in your own way, what is spiritual wisdom? If you are not ready to answer now, think about it. What is a spiritual wisdom? We always talk about spirituality, we always talk about wisdom. And I'm not going to ask you to use the great words or quotations of few great men. In your own way, it could be very simple, easy, applicable in your daily life. What is spiritual wisdom? And once you have your own answer of it, ask yourself, are you practicing that? Yeah. So, for example, as just an example, if I say spiritual wisdom to me is the love or brotherhood or oneness. In one word, if I have to sum up the spiritual wisdom, I would say those things. Good. Now I have to ask myself, is my life based on love? When I say life based on love, every single transaction, every single experiences and activity is based on love. Is it based on oneness? So whatever is your own spiritual wisdom, first identify that, and second, ask, are you practicing it? That's enough. Two things. Do not allow your mind to play a game that you find a quotation of a great sages or Mahatmas or any wise man and follow it. No, that will not be yours. That is somebody's wisdom. What is your spiritual wisdom? Number one, that's very important. And second, ask yourself, are you following it regularly in your daily life? Whatever it could be. It could be a selfless service, it could be helping somebody, it could be smiling at somebody and being helpful, spreading smile, love, joy, whatever it could be. In other words, not hurting anybody, whatever it is. So my question and request, will you ask yourself question? And if possible, please write it on a piece of paper, your own question. What is my spiritual wisdom? That is your question to yourself. And whatever the answer that you come up with, please write it down. Do not write a big paragraph, just a small sentence. My spiritual wisdom is friendship, or my spiritual wisdom is being honest, or whatever is your, whatever, just write down. Second question you ask, am I living these values? Am I living this wisdom in my everyday life? And make a checkpoints. On Monday, I did it, but Tuesday, I did not. On Wednesday, I forgot. Whatever. Make a calendar. And that will give you your own spiritual journey calendar. Is it difficult or is it possible? We only have to be honest to ourselves, that's all.
That is the most difficult part, Acharya.
Yeah, well, but you have the, I take it for granted you, all of us, all of you right now, whoever is in this concept, we all are in position to do it. If we were not able to do it, we would not be here together on Tuesday morning. You would have hundreds of reasons not to attend. But you are here.
Correct.
And that's good enough for you to ask
Qualify.
this question.
At least you're qualified to ask this question.
Yeah. You've gained that merits. And so do not underestimate yourself. So it's not an exam, it's only self-assessment. I'm not going to ask you next time who did what. And so but this is something which I follow, so that's why I'm sharing it. Remember, it's always the beginning as simple as possible, as easy as possible. Unfortunately, most people engage in referring to so many other books and literatures and wisdoms and knowledge, which is good, which is excellent. But I always felt I'm interested in what I am doing and not who did what. That is inspiration. That is motivation. But what is the use of being motivated or inspiration if you not practice? And that's the crux of the matter, that how much, where am I standing today? It would be nice if you all share one day in a week instead of me talking, because you are here at this time and I am sure you have so much to share. It's just that you prefer not to share.
Acharya, actually, the issue is we will not be able to share our views as fluently as you do and make us think. We ourselves in our turmoil state that we will not be able to express the way you express.
It is not a question of how you express. More important, it is what you express. How you express, don't bother about what words you use, what is your formation of sentence. That's okay. You convey your thought. That's important. And I want to know what are your thoughts on this. How you present does not matter. For me, most of the time when I speak, I have not thought about it. It just flows. And I have this blessings of receiving this and it goes out of me. So I may forget next moment, but it is at that point of time it comes and it goes out of me. So I'm just a messenger. I'm just a kind of like a tool, like an instrument. So it doesn't matter what you speak, what you speak is important. What are your thought on this is more important, and then contemplate on that thought.
Acharya, could the search for the soul be a spiritual wisdom that we are looking at?
Please say again.
The search for the soul, could that be the spiritual wisdom we are looking at?
Well, search of the soul is not spiritual. Yes, it is spiritual. That is self-inquiry. But you would not be talking now if you did not have a soul. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Yes. So we name whatever it is, we do not know. We just named it as a soul or a spirit or energy or consciousness. These are names. But that is something that enables you to think and talk. What is that enables you to think and talk? That is self-inquiry. someone would say, because I'm breathing, I'm alive, and because I'm alive, I'm thinking. Because I'm thinking, I'm speaking. Yeah. So the bottom line is breathing. But is breathing required for soul or that energy? Breathing is required for your body, for your mind, for your intellect, for your senses. Yeah. Imagine a condition of a person who is in coma. Yeah. So scientifically or medically speaking, the condition of coma is the person is neither fully alive nor fully dead. Correct? He's somewhere between two. So would you call him alive? No, because he's physically like a rotten vegetable lying on a bed. So you can't call it alive because the body is inactive, mind is not functioning, brain is not operating. So what is him that is not dead? He's still around that. People still look after him or her because there's something which is still available in that body which is holding him here and not known as a dead body. But that what is still there, if it is not there, it is then known as a dead body. And it is such a thin line between knowing as a dead body and being a coma. Being in coma, that consciousness is very much in with you. It is just that your body is unable to function, your mind is not working, your brain is not functioning. So your BMI is dead. But the energy that keeps you there, it is still on body, in that body. Therefore, it is not declared as a dead body. We are searching for that. We are trying to identify that we are that. This all what we're talking about, just an appearance. It appears to be there, which is why it is known as a BMI super influenced or superimposed on that essence, that energy, that consciousness, that spirit. I see all of you thinking so much now. That's good. So let's close. I leave it with your thought. Probably you can continue thinking. Let's offer the prayer. Asato ma satyamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, God, for giving us air to breathe. Thank you, God, for giving us water to drink. Thank you, God, for giving us sun for energy. Thank you, God, for giving us food to eat. Thank you, God, for giving us good health and happiness. Thank you, God, for giving us positivity. Thank you, God, for giving us all that we deserve. Thank you, God, for your love, your protection, your guidance, your blessings. Thank you, God, for the existence. Thank you for giving me a chance to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Acharya ji.
Thank you so much, Acharya ji.
Thank you,
Just one
Acharya.
last point here. Next Thursday, which is day after, I will not be available. I will be traveling back to Sydney, and so I will have to be excused. Please continue on Thursday yourself and do your Surya Namaskar, and also the Bandha, practice on Bandhas, what you have done so far. And I'll see you on Saturday.
Yes, Acharya ji.
Thank you, Acharya.
Thank you, Acharya.
Have a nice day.